Hi, you're right, I'm Jamie. Welcome to my channel. I share with you my knowledge and experience of baby loss, as well as what it's like to restart your journey to try and conceive with an autoimmune disease. On today's video, if you have been diagnosed with APS, antiphospholipid syndrome, then you'll be wondering what you need to do in order to try and conceive once you've had this diagnosis. There are a few things you need to consider before you try to conceive with APS, and I will be going through a few of those today. So grab yourself a cuppa and join me for a chat. So once you find out that you've been diagnosed with APS, there are a few things that you need to do. And the first one is to take control of your health and to expand your knowledge and understanding of what APS truly is. By learning what APS really is, you'll be able to learn how to cope with the side effects and what treatments you can expect along the way. With APS, you need to have a plan in place. There needs to be some forward thinking and some research done into what treatment is going to be best for you before you start to conceive. This plan needs to be in place before you start, because the day that you find out that you are pregnant, you will need to implement that treatment to give yourself the best chance of conceiving and having a healthy baby at the end of the journey. Some medications used to treat APS can really harm the baby, so you need to make sure that as soon as you find out that you're pregnant, you stop all medication and start a different medication from that day forward. That's why you need a plan in place before you even start to conceive. So this leads me on to what happens if you are on that medication, which is warfarin. If you've made it this far in the video, why not hit the like button if you liked it and subscribe. With APS, you are prone to getting blood clots, and to avoid that happening, or at least to reduce that, we are often prescribed with warfarin and blood thinners, and that is to just basically to help the blood flow naturally and to avoid you getting those clots. But once you're pregnant, you can no longer take warfarin. So if you're trying to conceive and you're on warfarin, you need to keep track of what your body's doing. So the day that you think that you've missed a period is the day you need to start testing, because you want to stop taking warfarin as soon as you find out that you're pregnant, and the sooner the better. You do need to keep an eye on what your body is doing and be sure that you catch that pregnancy as soon as possible. You don't have the luxury, unfortunately, with APS, with waiting, several weeks before you can test. You need to test straight away. Warfarin comes with its own complications and with its own... You'll need to make some lifestyle changes if you're on warfarin, let's put it that way. I can't thank you enough for taking the time to watch my videos. If you'd like to support the channel further, the links are in the description box below. Vitamin K helps to produce the proteins that your blood needs to clot. So you really want to keep an eye on your intake of vitamin K if you're on warfarin. Vitamin K is also great for growing strong, healthy bones, but you want to be mindful and consistent in how much vitamin K you intake. If you want to have a boozy weekend, I don't drink, but if that's your thing, then you need to be aware that alcohol acts as an anticoagulant, and this affects the metabolism of the liver, which is what you need in order to make warfarin work. So if you're thinking about having a boozy weekend, you might want to think about it a bit more, because warfarin and alcohol don't really go together. As well as that, if you're a smoker and you've been diagnosed with APS, you will know that you are more at risk of having cardiovascular disease. Smoking accelerates and hardens the narrowing of your arteries, which means you are 2 to 4 times more likely to have a heart attack if you are on warfarin and smoking. 30% of all heart attacks are caused from smoking already. So you really want to think about making those lifestyle choices once you realize that you have APS and you've got that affirmative diagnosis. Some things are just going to have to change. And to be honest, you're going to have to stop those things once you're pregnant anyway, or at least cut back. So if you're trying to conceive anyway and you've been prescribed warfarin because you have APS, then making those lifestyle choices earlier just makes it a little bit easier, I guess. As with most things in life, we need to adapt to our new reality. We have to find ways of coping, and when you have APS, fatigue plays a really big part in this. And I've always struggled with fatigue. Fatigue has nothing to do with being tired. I think that's a common misconception about the word fatigue. Fatigue comes with muscle aches and pains that can sometimes be mental as well as physical. The fatigue that comes from APS is exhausting, and fatigue with APS will not go away with sleep or rest. I've had to learn with time how to deal with my fatigue. I can tell you when I've done too much, and I will know how I'm going to feel tomorrow because I've done too much today. I've had to learn the limits of my body. I can't do it all as much as I would like to. I try and pace myself throughout the day, spread out my tasks and my activities. I'm a night owl, so I guess I get that little bit more time to do certain tasks, but I definitely don't try and cram a bunch of things into a short period of time. I will do things over time, throughout the day, little by little, and if I get all my tasks done for a day, brilliant. If not, there's always tomorrow. If there are a bunch of things that I didn't get done the day before, I'll always make sure that before I go to bed, I've written a list of the things that I have not done and the things that I really need to get done tomorrow, just so I know where to pick up from. Finding out I had APS came as a shock. Well, it wasn't a shock that I had APS. It was a shock that I finally got a diagnosis after all these years. For a long time, I have suffered with short-term memory problems, and I remember being a student at school and really struggling to remember things that I'd done just the day before. And I guess to teachers, I was a slow child or a disruptive child, but for me, I was just frustrated because no matter what I tried, I would just get like this brain fog where I could just not remember anything. Brain fog and memory loss are symptoms of APS, along with migraines. Now, I can remember having migraines since forever, and I would just come home from school sometimes and hide under the covers because my head was totally banging. I'd get told it's because I've not drunk enough water. It's because I've got one long-sighted eye and one short-sighted eye, so they're overcompensating for each other. That's why you get headaches. Turns out that's not why I get headaches. With APS, you need to find a way to manage your stress. The flare-ups that you're having can sometimes be because of a stressful situation. So I know that when I'm stressed, my headaches increase, my fatigue increases, my memory and my fogginess increases. So I've had to find ways of coping with that stress. I'm always looking for new techniques to manage my stress. What are your go-to methods? Let me know down in the comments below. One of the ways I cope is by speaking with you and sharing what I've been going through and how I've got to this point and how I got to this diagnosis and everything that I'm going through whilst I'm trying to conceive. Now, I've been told that this is cognitive behavioural therapy, and this is really good for people with long-term health conditions. I will always secure my mental health at all times, and if that means cutting off or cutting out negative people, then that's exactly what I do to reduce my stress and reduce my flare-ups. If you or someone you know has suffered from a miscarriage, then why not send them my miscarriage survivor playlist? It's a mixture of information and my personal experiences of dealing with baby loss. So share this with them to let them know that they are not alone. And as always, leave me an orange heart in the comments if you've been affected or know someone who's been affected by baby loss.